How are you guys doing? Today is Sunday, January 16th, 2022. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to do an elite individual profile on Tre'Davious White. The elite starting corner for the Buffalo Bills turns 27 today, and my intention with this episode is, of course, to put focus on his impact on the micro level and what he does game in and game out to ensure the most success for his Buffalo Bills team, and get a sense of what he's been able to do and impact this game on a macro level, considering that he is a player that has been consistently ranked as either one of the best players of his position or definitely a top 5 player over the last couple seasons, while helping the Buffalo Bills be one of the better teams offensively and defensively in the NFL. The Bills would not be where they are if Tre'Davious White isn't doing what he's doing, and I think this episode I'm just going to use it and take you through everything that Tre'Davious White has done once he's hit the limelight to where he is right now, playing for a Buffalo Bills team that has just advanced to the AFC divisional round. So, with that said, if you're unfamiliar with Tre'Davious White, he stands at about 5'11", 192. He's a little bit more physical. He's one of the stronger defensive backs in coverage. Of course, he's incredibly intelligent and knows how to jump routes. He's just very consistent. I think consistency is definitely his key, especially at this portion of his career. And it's very tough to make an argument against him being one of the best corners, especially right now. So he's originally from Shreveport, Louisiana, and knowing how intense high school football is in that region, you get a sense for how tough the competition was. He would go on to stay in state as he was one of the best high school prospects from within the state of Louisiana. So we ended up being the obvious decision for Les Miles to recruit him and play for him at LSU for 4 years. He will go on to play as a true freshman at LSU, as he has started 11 of the 13 games he played his freshman year in 2013. And in 2013, when he was just an 18-year-old, he would go on to play 13 games in a season where LSU would finish with a 10-3 record. They finished as the 14th best team in the nation. They went all the way to the Outback Bowl, where they would end up beating Iowa by a touchdown. In his freshman season, Tre'Davious White would go on to finish with 55 total tackles on the season, which is the most tackles he would finish a season with at LSU before he was actually stationed at full-time corner, because they had him moving around as a all-purpose DB. He would have 2.5 tackles for losses, as he also recorded 2 interceptions as well. And he also forced the lone fumble that he would force as well, as he also would defend 7 passes. And following his 2013 season, he would earn that starting spot, as he would also be the punt returner in his sophomore season. He would start all 13 of the games he played his sophomore season, his age 19 season in 2014, for an LSU Tigers team that would go 8-5, where they went all the way to the Music City Bowl and lost to Notre Dame by a field goal. In his sophomore season, he would have the least amount of tackles he would have as an LSU player. He had 33 of them. He would also finish with 3.5 tackles for loss. He would also log the first sack, the lone solo sack that he would post in his collegiate career. And he would also defend 6 passes, as he also would intercept 2 passes as well. Following that 2014 season, he would come back and return for his junior season. His junior season would be his age 20 season in 2015, and in that season he would go on to start 11 games for an LSU Tigers team that would finish 9-3, as they went all the way to the Texas Bowl, where they would end up beating Texas Tech by about 4 touchdowns. They were a pretty good team that year, as they would finish as like the 16th or the 17th ranked team in the nation. In his third season, his junior season at LSU, Tre'Davious White would go on to finish with 44 tackles, 11 more than the previous season. He would also finish with a tackle and a half for loss, the least amount of tackles for loss he would put together in a season. He would defend 7 passes as well, as this would be the lone season in college he didn't finish with an interception. At the end of the 2015 season, he was recognized as a second-team All-SEC corner. And following his junior season, he would go on to return for his senior season after he was already considered to be a pretty highly touted prospect. He would go on to return, and in his senior season with LSU, and in his age 21 season at LSU, he would go on to start all 12 of the matchups he played in a season where LSU would finish with a 8-4 record. They would finish as the 14th ranked team in the nation after they went all the way to the Citrus Bowl and beat Louisville in the Buffalo Wild Wings Citrus Bowl. This is the year where Les Miles switched off and Ed Orgeron took over. And in Tre'Davious White's final season with LSU, he would go on to finish with 35 total tackles on the season. He would finish with 4 tackles for loss, which would be the most he put together in a season. He finished with half of a sack. He would finish with 2 interceptions, as this year he would finish with a pick 6 for the first time in his career. He would also go on to recover a fumble, the lone fumble recovery he had in his career that year as well. He would finish with 14 passes defended. At the end of the 2016 season, he was named to the first team All-SEC as compared to second team the previous year before. He was named a consensus All-American in 2016, proving that he was one of the best, if not the best, player that played his position in college ball right before he made it to the NFL. And after having a good combine, he was taken in the first round of the 2017 NFL draft. He was taken with the 27th overall pick by the Buffalo Bills out of LSU. Looking at other players that were taken in that draft, the top player taken at his position was Marshawn Lattimore, who went from Ohio State to the Saints with the 11th pick. This draft included Myles Garrett. The highest drafted DB out of this draft was Jamal Adams, who went from LSU to the Jets. He's now on the Seahawks. Christian McCaffrey went to the Panthers with the 8th overall pick. Patrick Mahomes went to the Chiefs with the 10th overall pick. Deshaun Watson went from Clemson to the Texans with the 12th overall pick. And then TJ Watt was taken 3 picks after Tre'Davious White by the Pittsburgh Steelers, just to get a sense of how jam-packed that draft was. Other picks at his position, Marlon Humphrey was taken with the 16th overall pick. He plays for the Ravens now. Adoree Jackson was taken with the 8th overall pick. And after Garyon Cooley was taken out of Ohio State, Tre'Davious White was the 5th cornerback taken in that draft. And ever since, he has been a very crucial part for this Buffalo Bills defense. His first season in Buffalo was his age 22 season in 2017. In his rookie season, he would start all 16 of the games he played in a season where the Buffalo Bills would make the playoffs for the first time as a franchise in the 21st century since 1999. This was in Sean McDermott's very first season as the coach. In those 16 games he played, he would finish with 69 combined tackles, which to this day is the most tackles that he'd put together in a season. Because quarterbacks, I guess, were trying the rookie cornerback. He would also go on to defend 18 passes, the most passes he'd defend in a season, as he also finished with 4 interceptions, a forced fumble. He finished with 2 fumble recoveries, as he also recovered a fumble recovery for a touchdown. That would be his lone defensive touchdown for the year. At the conclusion of the 2017 season, he was named to the All-Rookie team, and the Buffalo Bills, once they made it to the playoffs, would actually lose in their very first wild card matchup to the Jaguars. Following his very first playoff appearance, he would come back for his age 23 season in 2018. In that season, he would start all 16 of the games he played in a season where the Bills finished with a 6-10 record. This was the season where Josh Allen took over as the starting quarterback. They lost 3 more games than the previous season. Tre'Davious White would see himself drop from 69 tackles to 54. He would still finish with 2 interceptions as he defended 8 passes on the year. He also had a tackle for loss on the year. In 2018, the Buffalo Bills would completely miss the playoffs, but of course, Tre'Davious White would definitely earn his spot right back and be a starting corner for the next year, because the Buffalo Bills would completely jump right back into the playoff picture. In his 3rd season with the Buffalo Bills, in his age 24 season, Tre'Davious White would go on to start all 15 of the games he played in a season where the Buffalo Bills finished with a 10-6 record, making the playoffs for the second time in the first first 3 years under Sean McDermott, as they had won 4 more games than the previous year. In the season, Tre'Davious White would see himself with 4 more tackles than the year before, as he had 58 of them. He would finish with 4 tackles for loss at the cornerback position. He would log his first career NFL sack. He would also force 2 fumbles. Not to mention that he defended 17 passes, the second most he's ever defended in a season. And he would also be an NFL leader in interceptions for the year, as he would go on to share that honor with Stephon Gilmore of the New England Patriots and Anthony Harris of the Minnesota Vikings. While leading the league in interceptions, Tre'Davious White would go on to be named to the Pro Bowl for the very first time in his career. And in addition to that, he was named to the first team All-Pro as well, because, leading the league in interceptions is no easy feat. Following that season, in which he would establish himself as one of the better corners in the game, one of the best corners in the game, the Bills would end up losing their wild card matchup to the Houston Texans in overtime by a field goal. However, this would transition into his next season. In his 4th season with the Buffalo Bills and his age 25 season, Tre'Davious White would start all 14 of the games he played for a Buffalo Bills team that finished with a 13-3 record. This would be the season where Brian Daboll won the Assistant Coach of the Year in Sean McDermott's 4th season as the head coach. The Bills would go on to win 13 games. This would be the first time that they had won their division since 1995. So that would be a very historic year for the Bills organization. And Tre'Davious White will go on to be named a Pro Bowler and a second-team All-Pro player. He would go on to start all 14 of the games he played, and he would finish with 57 tackles on the year. He would finish with a sack and a half, which is the most sacks he's ever had in a season to date. He would finish with 3 interceptions as he defended 11 passes. He would go on to force a fumble, and he recovered 2 fumbles, which is tied for the most fumble recoveries he's had in a season. At the conclusion of the year, he would be a very important part to a Bills defense that would help the Bills finish with 13 wins in their franchise's history for the first time since the early 90s. Once they made it to the playoffs, they would go on to beat the Colts by a field goal in the wild card round. They would end up beating the Baltimore Ravens by 2 touchdowns in the divisional round, and then they would end up going to the AFC Championship, the last AFC Championship game that was played, and they would end up losing to the Kansas City Chiefs by 2 touchdowns, just to get a sense of how close they were. But Tre'Davious White was a big part of that, and this, of course, transitions into this current season, the 2021 year, which is going down as Tre'Davious White's age 26 season, considering he's turning 27 today. In his age 26 season, Tre'Davious White would start all 11 of the games that he played in. This season, he would go down with an ACL injury. He was out for the rest of the season after his injury taking place in their Thanksgiving game against the Saints. In the 11 games he played, he would finish with 41 tackles. He had a tackle for loss as he defended 6 tackles. He forced a fumble, recovered a fumble as well, and he also finished with an interception as well. Tre'Davious White played a very big part of this Buffalo Bills team, of the system, to help them finish with to help them win the AFC East with an 11-6 record this year. Going into the divisional round, I have no idea as to who the Bills are going to be playing, but they did come off of a win against the New England Patriots from within their own division in order to make it to this round after they beat them by 30. So it'll be very interesting to see how the Bills finish out this year. And because Tre'Davious White suffered an ACL injury, it may be a while till he gets back. He may not be back at the beginning of this year, but hopefully he may get a couple of games to play for the 2022 season. With that said, I first want to thank the Pro and College Football Reference websites, as well as ESPN and NFL, for giving me all the facts and figures that I need. I wouldn't be able to do this without them. And of course, once all of today's exhibitions and matchups are done, I'm going to come back with another episode tomorrow on Monday, January 17th on MLK Day. But of course, with this said, I want to, of course, wish Tre'Davious White a happy 27th birthday. If you ever get a chance to watch him, he's wearing number 27 for the Buffalo Bills in the first place, and let's see if he comes back next year, so we can see if we can see if there's more to talk about for Tre'Davious White for the 2023 profile. With that said, I hope all is well, and I'll catch you with another episode tomorrow once everything's done today. And thanks for listening to my piece. Peace out.